Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler on the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel. And if you're stopping by for the first time, let me go ahead and get this out of the way. If you're stopping by for the first time, let me just tell you what this channel is about in case you're wondering, what is this guy up here doing? What is he talking about? I'm just here to promote inspiration. I'm here to offer some motivation. I'm here to sometimes challenge us so that we are challenged to make sure that we've shown up better today than we did yesterday, and that we are striving to show up better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that any day was a failure or flop, but we're just intentional about showing up in a better space, in a better headspace, in a better emotional space, in a better physical space. We're striving to show up better. And again, we want to show up our best selves, even in the worst of situations. That's one of the things that I strive to do. And these conversations help me to do that. They really do. They help me to be more conscientious about showing up my best self, even in the worst of situations. Had a few worst like situations to show up, and I thought, no, Cutler, what advice, what feedback, what input would you offer on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform? The same advice, input, and feedback that you would offer there, you need to now apply it to your life in a real situation. I'm telling you all, these conversations help me. They really, really do. And I'm going to share not necessarily part of what happened, but I'm going to let this evening's conversation or today's conversation really be a spinoff from something that I learned and something that I applied. So I'm telling you, real life conversations, real life situations. How do we get inspiration out of these moments? How are we inspired? How are we motivated? How are we challenged? And make sure that you lay hold to these, that they become a source of thinking, a way of thinking for us. For me, they really are. Your feedback, your input, when I look in the chat and see it, I go, thank you. That works. It either reiterates, it gives me a new objective, a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing, or it just says, Cutler, you're okay, you're on the right track. If I'm not on the right track, your chats and your comments will tell me so. So thank you so much for that. I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. Those are the people that I see, the top 3 people that I see jumping over into the chat. And I see a few more of you jumping over, but come on over into the chat and let me know that you're here. Say hi, say good evening, speak to the other people who are in the chat room. I used to say, come on in, have a seat, bring your favorite glass of tea, lemonade, water, whatever it is you bring, and bring the snacks. Make sure that you share them with everybody else. How in the world are you going to say it? How are we going to do that? Because we're in a virtual space. I know, but it's just the thought of coming in and making yourself comfortable on this Tuesday when we are sitting here and we're sharing these 1,800 seconds. I hope you all enjoyed my last co-host, my 12-year-old cousin who was with me. He's looking forward. He's looking forward to coming on this platform again. Of course, next go round, I'll bring his 8-year-old brother with me. So you have to be fair with little kids, and I'm going to bring both of them back next time. I'll bring the younger one, and then I have to bring both of them back on the same platform. But this evening, you all, I want to talk about how to handle fools. I do. I want to talk about how to handle fools. And as I'm talking about how to handle fools, how many of us, come on over to the chat and say hi. By the way, over in the chat, let me shout out the LTTC VIPs. And I see Rachel and Annie, Rach Y, Annie Cutler, and Marissa. So thank you all for being the first few people that I see in the chat. The rest of you, come on in and say hi, say hello to everybody. Say good evening, good afternoon, or whatever time it may be where you are. Thank you all for sharing this space with me. I want to talk about how to handle fools. Cutler, why in the world did you come up with that topic? How did you come up with that topic? What is going on with you for you to come up with that topic? Before I get into details, you all talk to me. How many of you would just confess and be able to confess, you know what? I have to come to the conclusion that there are some fools in my life. I'm going to help somebody, I hope, by saying this. We're getting ready for the holidays. You're getting ready to spend time with family, getting ready to spend time with friends. You're getting ready to engage in social events. You're getting ready to participate in these dinners. You're getting ready to participate in these parties, all of this kind of stuff going on. And you, or at least once upon a time you did. And you're hoping that these events are going to be upbeat, they're going to be optimistic, they're going to be energetic, they're going to be filled with positive energy. That is what you're hoping. But the truth of the matter is, you know that there's some people in your life who are just real downers. They bring people down, they bring you down. They suck your energy right away from you. So how many of you would confess that the truth of the matter is you really do have some fools in your life? We need to start on a plateau and confess that maybe, once again, thank you, Cutler, maybe I need to take an inventory of the people who are in my life, and maybe I don't need to spend time hanging around people that I deem fools. You know, when I was growing up, we couldn't necessarily call people fools because it just was not a nice word. Now I understand why it's not a nice word, because it is a truthful word. It is a truthful word, and it is not a nice word. It is not a nice thing to be. That's the truth of the matter. So there's really nothing wrong with the word fool. What's wrong with fool is what is wrong with the word is that there are people who encapsulate and who epitomize and who live as a fool. A fool is a person who acts unwisely. A fool is a person who does not care about the consequences of his or her actions, of his or her behavior. That's what a fool is. So there's nothing wrong with the word. What's wrong is with the person who exemplifies that. Now, having said that, if a fool is the person who acts unwisely and does not care about the consequences of his or her own actions, how his or her own words and behaviors impact other people, that is a fool. Let's call a thing, a spade a spade. Let's just say what it is and just get it out there. We can't deal with it until we confess what it is. We can't confront it until we confess it. So we just need to get out there. Some of us have fools in our lives, and we let them go all along. I'm not talking to us. I'm just saying, because I recognize that I have fools in my life, and sometimes, you know, you try to deal with them, you try to hang on to them, you try to coax them, and you try to strengthen relationships. You try to maintain all of that, all the while saying to yourself, you know, this is a fool. I heard people growing up, if that ain't one fool, or that's the biggest fool I've ever seen. All those sorts of things. Now, they were talking about people who were clowning and acting up, but the truth of the matter, there are some fools out there, people who just act unwisely and don't care about the impact of their words or behavior on other people's lives. That is a fool. And some of us have far too long. Some of us suffer fools easily. We deal with them easily. We allow fools to come into our space. But fools don't care about the consequences of their behavior or the impact of their words on your life or anybody else's. How do you know, Color? Why would you say that? Because they are so self-involved. The world evolves. The world revolves around them. The world is centered around them. Their life is so microcosmic. It's small. They're focusing only on themselves. There's nothing macro, but everything is micro about their lives. They're self-involved. And when it comes to their views and their perspectives, they have a whole lot of energy. They're very zealous about their own views. This is how they see things. They're not going to change. Everybody else should see it like this. The way they see it is right, and the way they see it is right, and it's right all the time. So they're self-involved. They're zealous about their own views and their own perspectives, and they're not able to see their own vulnerabilities, what makes them weak, what makes them vulnerable. They assume that they already know everything that needs to be known. When I was growing up, I would hear people say, a hard head makes a soft behind. Couldn't tell them anything. That was another saying. Can't tell you nothing. That's a fool. They spend a lot of time trying to control, trying to control and manipulate people to see things their way, to behave how they want them to behave. You know, if only so and so would do such and such, then my life would be better. You know, what about you changing your behavior? Don't tell me about so and so doing such and such, but what about you doing you and you? Maybe that would change your life. I'm just laying the platform to help us recognize and realize when we really do have fools in our lives. Sometimes you have to come to the conclusion, you know, well, that person's just a fool. I shouldn't say, and I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. I'm not saying it carelessly at all or callously. I'm not saying it that way either. I'm just saying we need to come to the reality that there are some fools in our lives. Y'all come on into this chat room and talk to me for just a moment, because we need to realize maybe this is why I'm stressed out, because I'm dealing with fools. Maybe this is why my blood pressure's up, because I'm dealing with fools. Maybe this is why I have no energy, because I'm always dealing with fools. Maybe this is why I'm frustrated, because I'm always dealing with fools. I just need to put it out there, you all. So tonight we need to talk about how to handle foolish people. We really do. I had to come to the conclusion, you know, I've just been dealing with a few fools in my life, trying to hang on, trying to build relationships, trying to stroke their ego, trying to include them in the trajectory of my life, when I had to stop and realize, you know what? Some of these people are just fools. They're unwise. They don't care about how their words impact me. They don't care about how their behavior impacts me or anybody else. That's a fool, you all. And we keep trying to give people like that passes. We keep trying to give them passes. And I had to go to one of my greatest sources of reference today and just read up on some of the people who act like fools who are in my life. I had to look at at the various Proverbs, and what that whole book says about fools. A fool is a fool by choice. People choose to act like a fool. People choose to become fools. People are foolish by choice. You made the choice to act unwisely. You made the choice to not care about the consequences of your words or your behavior on somebody else's life. You made a choice. A fool is a fool by choice. Let's stop feeling sorry for people saying, oh, you know, I just really feel sorry for them. No, a fool is a fool by choice. How can I tell them? You can tell them when you see them based on their behavior. You can tell them when you hear them based on how they talk about everybody else, because the fool will slander other people. They will. They will slander other people, talk about other people like a dog. That means that they don't care about the impact of their words on anybody else's lives. Proverbs says, he who conceals hatred has lying lips, and he who spreads slander is a fool. I'm not making this stuff up. Fools get into this game of being wicked and unkind, and they get some sort of high, some sort of energy, some sort of rush out of being wicked and just playing that game. Why would you say that, Cutler? Because Proverbs also says doing wickedness is like sport to a fool. I'm just trying to help us. I'm trying to help us this evening, because a lot of times we've been dealing with fools and try to hang on to them, and we don't want to call a thing, or a spade, or a fool, a fool. Because a fool can tell you what to do, what so and so should be doing, what everybody else should be doing. A fool can spout out all of this proverbial wisdom, but it means nothing to him or her personally. Start quoting everything. I mean, everything from A to Z, giving all of this, all kinds of wisdom, but it really means nothing personally because the fool does not apply the wisdom that he or she seeks to give. Ever met people who they tell you what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to live, how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to respond? They can tell you all of that, but you say, well, why don't you take your own advice? How many of us know people like that? I need to put up both of my hands. They can tell me everything that I need to do, but won't take the advice themselves. I'm just trying to help us. I want us to recognize before you all get caught up in the holidays and these holiday events and parties and social activities and you're dealing with people, don't get caught up with fools who try to bring you down. Don't get caught up with fools who don't care about the impact of their words on your life. Don't get caught up with people like that, you all. A fool causes grief in people's lives. Why would you say that? Because Proverbs says a wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish son is a grief to his mother. I'm just trying to help us. No, nobody's glad. None of us, we're not glad about having fools in our lives, but I'm trying to get us to recognize, stop giving people so many passes when you know that they are fool. And what do? We just smooth it right on over. I'm just trying to help save somebody's life and save us some emotional grief and save us some psychological grief and mental grief and even physical grief to our bodies. I'm just trying to help us with all of this, you all. They like to argue about everything. I'm trying to help us recognize fools and foolish behavior. They like to argue with other people without any real reason, without any rhyme or reason, without any cause. They will ruin their own lives and then blame everybody else. Proverbs says a foolish man, the foolishness of man ruins his way. They'll ruin their own lives and fight and argue with everybody else because they've messed up their lives. That's a fool. How many of us know some? Thank you. I'm not even going to call you names, but I see some of you say, yes, they'll fuel my life. Yes, I know some. Fools are arrogant. And they would just plow right on through life, inconsiderate of other people, busting walls down, knocking doors down, creating havoc wherever they go. Arrogant, but they cause havoc. They cause storms wherever they go without any consideration towards anybody else. Again, but listen, I'm just sharing stuff with us from Proverbs. A wise man is cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is arrogant and careless. A fool, doesn't even know how to manage money, doesn't know how to manage affairs, will have something of value and lose it and never even think anything, never even think twice about it. A fool and his money are soon parted. And one of the things you have to be careful about is don't say it. One of the things that we need to be careful about is giving a fool a whole lot of real estate into our hearts and our souls and our minds and in our lives. Got to be careful. Like an archer who wounds everyone, so is he who hires a fool or who hires those who pass by. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. Fools will repeat the same ugly works, the same ugly behavior, the same ugly words over and over and over and over again. One passage that I remember as a child, and it makes me sick almost to my stomach. Fools who repeat the same stuff over and over and over, the same patterns, the same pathological behavior, calling the abnormal normal, calling the dysfunctional functional, calling the wrong right. They'll repeat over and over the same ugly stuff, like a dog that returns to its vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. A fool repeats the same stuff over and over and over and over, never learning from his behavior. Repeating the same thing. I'm just trying to help us, you all. I won't spend a lot. I just want us to recognize when there are fools in our lives. So, Color, are you going to get to the point where you tell us how to handle them? I am. I just want us to recognize them first. I want us to recognize them first. Maybe I'll stop here by helping us to recognize them, because one of the key things I want you to understand is this: fools have no control over their emotions. They're happy one minute, they're crying the next minute, they're cussing one minute, they're fussing the next minute, they're smiling the next minute, they cuss you out and never even consider how it makes you feel. They'll disrespect you and never even consider how it impacted you. They'll lose their temper and say that you are to blame. Color, why would you say that? Because Proverbs says a fool always loses his temper. I'm not making this stuff up. You all know that I come from a faith-based platform and a faith-based background. So I decided to show from some of my favorite passages. A fool always loses his temper, but a wise man holds it back. You want to exercise wisdom? Hold your temper back. Exercise some self-control. Wise people offer gracious words. Foolish people express wickedness. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care what they say. They're always right in their disrespect, in their ego, in their arrogance, in their self-involvement, the world revolves around me. That's a fool. I'm not making this up. I'm just defining a fool so that some of us can be free to define the people who are in our lives. I offer us the power, the freedom to define the people who are in our lives. Not that we're looking down on anybody, but we are defining people by the behavior. A tree is known by the fruit it bears. And so we're just defining people based on the behavior that they exhibit. Because maybe in somebody else's life, they don't act like a fool, but in your life, maybe they show up as a fool all the time. I'm just sharing this, you all. I want us to be aware. I want us to be conscientious. And so the question then is, Cutler, how do we deal with them? How do we handle them? You have to know how to handle them, because once you've identified them, you've got to say, you know what, let me not provoke that person. Because if I provoke that person, I'm just going to bring grief on myself. And I'm too important to myself to bring grief on myself. I'm telling you, once you identify the fools in your life, don't provoke them. Because they have loose tongues, they have loose hearts, they have loose lips, they have loose egos. Don't provoke them, because it will bring grief on you. Why would you say that, Cutler? Listen to this. A stone is heavy and the sand weighty, but the provocation of a fool is heavier than both of them. The provoking, and then dealing with the aftermath is heavier than a stone. What else, Color? How else do you suggest that we deal with them within these last few seconds that you have left of these 1800 seconds? So once you identify a fool, don't provoke them. Once you identify fools, don't provoke them. Once you identify a fool, don't provoke him or her. Just don't do it. Another thing, just avoid speaking. Sometimes I've learned, and my mother can tell you this, I've learned to silence myself. Most of my family can tell you this. I have learned to silence myself in the presence of some people. Or if not completely silence myself, at least keep my words to a minimum. That's how I handle them. That's how I handle them. You have to avoid speaking in the presence of fools, or at least keep your words to a minimum. Because your words will offer wisdom, but a fool is one who acts unwisely. So when you are offering wisdom, the wisdom that you offer will be despised by someone who is a fool. Couple more, and then I've got to get out of here. Stop trying to talk to fools when they are in the midst of their foolish behavior. I need to say that again. I need to put that on a bulletin board. I need to post that on social media, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Stop trying to talk to fools when they're in the midst of demonstrating foolish behavior. Don't do it. It's foolish to try to confront a fool in the midst of his foolish behavior. Can I say that again? It is foolish to try and confront a fool in the midst of his foolish behavior. Don't answer a fool in the midst of foolishness. Don't do it. Color, what else do you have to say to us? This last one I want to offer us this evening, you all. Make a conscious decision. So if we're talking about inspiration, at the top of the hour, I said we're talking top of the 1800 seconds. I said we're talking about inspiration, motivation, and challenging ourselves. I challenge us. That's right, Linda, because if you argue with a fool, if you try to confront a fool in the midst of foolish behavior, people won't know which one is the fool. They'll say this is a whole circus going on, and I don't know which one is the clown. So one of the things that you need to do, make a conscious decision to leave the presence of a fool so that you can maintain your sense of peace and your sanity. May I say it again, make the conscious decision to get out of the presence of a fool, to leave a fool, so that you can maintain your sanity, so that you can maintain your peace of mind, so that you can guard your ears and your eyes and your heart, so that you can guard all of that. Because the fool is not going to discern or understand the words of knowledge. So what you need to do is exit the building. What you need to do is leave the presence of a fool. Because if you don't, you're going to sit there and you're going to absorb all of that. And you're going to start trying to process and you're going to start trying to respond to it. I'm telling you, I did. Until finally, I had to say to myself, Cutler, this is some foolishness. I used to hear older folk in my family saying things like, this is some foolishness. And what they were saying is that this is some foolishness that I will not even deal with. I will not even address it. I will not even give this the dignity of a response. This is some foolishness. Sometimes you've got to get to the point where you can confront people. And if you don't have anything else to say, instead of trying to confront them or deal with their foolishness or trying to, or confronting them, or trying to correct them or answering them, your only response should be before you walk away, this is some foolishness and I'm done. I'm out of here. This is some foolishness and my sanity is too important to stay here and compromise it. This is some foolishness and my peace of mind costs me too much for me to stand here and have it challenged, have it rocked, have it knocked off of its foundation. This is some foolishness. I'm telling you, those four, y'all, I got to get out of here. Those 4 words, those 4, how to handle a fool. Don't get caught up in the folly, and learn how to say this as you're exiting the building. These 4 words, we're going to get out of here. But I offer, this is my offering. I offer us the power to confront the reality of dealing with fools, and say to yourself when you're dealing with them, this 4 words, this is some foolishness. Just say that and be done. Don't argue. Don't try to correct. Don't rationale. Don't do anything. This is some foolishness. You all, let's keep doing what we do. Share this with somebody. Please, if you haven't shared a link, if you haven't shared this conversation with anybody recently, please share this, because you all know that there are people in our lives, there are people in your lives who are dealing with fools, and they're frustrated. Their blood pressure is high. They're having heart attacks and they're having strokes because they're dealing with fools. And nobody will say to them, you are dealing with a fool and you know it. And you're trying to handle it. You're trying to confront it. And while you think you're dealing with it, while you think you're tolerating it, your body is telling you that you're having anxiety because you're dealing with a fool. Say to that individual, say to this person, say to whomever is exhibiting that behavior, this is some foolishness and I'm not going to deal with it. And you're done. Don't stay there and linger. Do just like this. This is some foolishness. Got to go. All right? And then you just leave. Thank you all for allowing me to come into your space. I hope you all heard me. Thank you for whatever space you've allowed me to come into. I appreciate it. Share this with somebody. And until the next time we talk, let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. Stay safe. Stay sane. And do not tolerate the foolishness. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be much love despite the foolishness. I'll see you all next time I see you. Tell somebody, come on, and let's talk to Cutler. Good night, everybody.